Welcome to Racers Odds. I'm David Stiles. We've given Andrew Curlin the week off, and we have our friend Kevin Redfern back on the program today. And we're coming off of a great win for Denny Hamlin in Las Vegas. He led 134 laps. I know he was favored to win the race, and those Toyotas looked very strong. I lost the bet. I thought Kyle Larson was going to win it. Kevin, how did you do this past weekend betting on Las Vegas?
Bad week, but that's okay. I feel confident enough coming back on this show knowing that the futures we talked about in early February are in a great spot, and like one Carson Hocevar missed block away from cashing on one already. But it's a long game. We're close to 40 weeks. It's all right. We've got room for hiccups.
Yeah,
Darlington will be great for it.
I won 2 of my 4 bets. I had Jones over Zilich, which that paid off. I had $30 units on that at 105. I lost Chastain over Elliott. I thought Trackhouse was going to be better, but it was apparent that Hendrick Motorsports definitely was the best group of Chevys in Las Vegas. And then I had Suarez over Hocevar. Daniel Suarez, he's pretty good there at Las Vegas. I had that for 30 units at 145. And then I lost the bet for Larson to win the race at 500 with only 10 units on it. But if Andrew would have done any better, he would have won at least a bet. He didn't even win a bet last week, so I can take a little bit of victory in that sense because he's really waxing me in this pick'em game. But Kevin, I want to start this conversation off about Darlington. What are you really looking at as we get ready to go to the Lady in Black and probably one of the toughest tracks on the NASCAR schedule?
It seems like the 2 words of the week have been tire wear, tire wear, tire wear. And of course, it's next cousin tire management. And so I'm looking at veterans this week. I'm looking at guys who have a history of being able to save their tires. I think when that comes to mind, I think of Denny Hamlin. I think of Chase Elliott. I think of Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski. But more generally, I'm thinking on the manufacturer side, I'm looking at the Toyotas who have continued to have a historic start to this year. A lot of that is held up in Tyler Reddick, but the speed across the board is there. I mean, last week, there were multiple times where it was 1, 2, 3 Toyota running. And there's some drivers here down the Toyota camp that Darlington is a real wheelhouse for them. So I'm expecting continued momentum on their end.
One guy that really needs to have a big turnaround, Chase Briscoe. What are you thinking about his odds so far, and is there anything out there that looks good to bet on for him this upcoming weekend?
Chase Briscoe is not on my card this week. Not because of anything for his ability. I just can't agree with the prices right now. I think the longest you're seeing him on a race win is somewhere in the 700 to 800 range, which I'm just not loving for any of the heavy hitters at Joe Gibbs, at Hendrick Motorsports. Right now, based off where Gibbs has been running, I just feel like Ty Gibbs has been running better. So if you're going to match up Chase Briscoe in top 10s and top 5s, I think you got to weigh him up against Ty Gibbs. And once you weigh those prices together, really do some thinking and see where the value at. And as you can tell, I'm very much high on Ty Gibbs this week. His odds to win, you can find him above 30 to 1. I think that'll be a weapon in the cash out game throughout the week. But for Briscoe, I know he's had a lot of success there, particularly recently. I just don't see race winning speed out of him this week. But you know, that when it comes to JGR and Hendrick, I'm fully expecting a battle between those 2 teams on Sunday.
You talked a little bit about the cash out game. What really goes into that strategy as we've gotten a little bit further into the season? And if that is something that you're interested in as the viewer, can you explain that a little bit more and what they should look for as we get further into the season?
Yeah, I mean, this week's a great week to play what I call the cash out game. It's essentially get in early, cash out when they're high or when you think their odds might be at their lowest, and then let's pocket those winnings and repurpose them towards a threat in this race. There is so much mud at the top of the board for race winners this week. When you look at JGR and Hendrick, and then obviously Tyler Reddick from 2311 is grouped up, those odds are bunched anywhere between 450 and about plus 800, 850. And there's so much speed there. That's like 7 or 8 guys, and there just isn't a whole lot of room for movement on those odds. But down the board, you've got some drivers who love Darlington, who have very long odds, and who could qualify really well and get stage points. That in particular, I'm looking at Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace is great at Darlington, and he's been sitting as a top 10 car um, of recent, a top five car on speed, and you'll find him 25 to 1 on DraftKings. I'm going to stay away from the 25 to 1 on DraftKings and pay a premium on FanDuel at 20 to 1 because I know their interface for cashing out is a little bit simpler. That's kind of another dimension to this cash out stuff is interface and what is available to you during the race. And then the other guy out of the Ford camp, coming off, I believe, a week where he's the top Ford, is Chris Buescher. You can get 33 to 1 odds on FanDuel Chris Buescher, which is the longest you're going to get on him, too. And this is a guy who, particularly in Darlington spring races, has had back-to-back top 10 cars in both of the last two Darlington spring races. He's an incident with Tyler Reddick a couple years ago in stage three from getting a win there. Consistently up there in speed, and I fully expect his price to get a little bit more expensive in there for there to be cash out opportunities late Sunday afternoon.
So now my biggest question to you is, when do you know when to cash out, or do you just let it ride? I mean, that's the big thing, right? Do you let it go, or do you pull that money back and then use it like an investment like we've talked about before on the show?
I think safer is the better, right? I mean, it's going to be tempting because a lot of these guys, you're getting them in at really long odds and potential 30, 40 unit returns, and it's very enticing. But you have to remember that a lot of the live odds that you're seeing are driven by action from other bettors like us, right? So there's going to be a lot of guys hopping on Chris Buescher if he cycles to the lead, if he wins stage one. That's a great time to get out because at the end of the day, you're building ammunition to be able to put money on that guy who in stage three, you know he's either going to win or he's going to run out of gas. Or if a caution comes, it might screw you, but you put yourself in a position to make money. You pocketed your winnings already, and you're reinvesting that capital on who's the fastest guy in the track. It's not going to hit every time, but it's going to do well over the course of a year. So I say always be safe. If you're getting a 2-3 times return on a cash out, even if Chris Buescher's running first at the end of stage two, it's a great time to hop out. We're playing the long game.
All right, so now I'm going to start giving you my bets for the week, and I'm going to give everyone a little insight into the dashboard. I've got this big spreadsheet that I use to track everything that me and Andrew are betting on. So far this season, I've won 9 bets out of 22. I have 3 pushes out there. I've got a 44%, success rate betting. I am down $17. So from last week, my winnings have boosted me back up. I'm at $4,982. We started off with a $5,000 Monopoly Money bankroll. Andrew, on the other hand, he has 3 wins out of 18 total bets, and he is sitting plus. He's riding that Tyler Reddick wave from a plus 160 bet a couple of weeks ago, and he has a $36 profit. So I'm getting a little bit closer to him. It's just edging up ever so slightly. So here are going to be my bets for the week that I'm looking at, and then Kevin, feel free to poke holes in these all you want to. I'm going to start off with a Group D matchup in DraftKings. And the reason I'm going with Group D, it has a guy in this group that is very, very good. He's driving a Toyota, and he's great at this racetrack. Eric Jones, plus 350 to edge out Carson Hocevar, Ty Gibbs, and Kyle Busch. I know Kyle Busch is really, really good here, and Ty Gibbs has been on an upwards trajectory so far, but Eric Jones has won at this place before, and he's very, very solid. Kevin, I want to get your thoughts. What do you think of that Group D bet? I'm going to put around 20 units on that one.
Love, 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 love. Can't love more. I know I mentioned Ty Gibbs earlier, and I very much will be having action on Ty Gibbs this weekend. But Eric Jones at plus 350, just to add some perspective onto that, his best top 10 odds were on DraftKings at plus 260. So you're asking him in that sense to make the top 10 in the race. With group betting, you're asking him to beat 3 cars. Yes, one of them is driving for Joe Gibbs, but Kyle Busch and Carson Hocevar have not shown the speed on these tracks this year in the short sample size. Kyle Busch has Darlington, obviously a strength for Kyle Busch, but I'm just not confident in RCR at this point in the season. So I love where you're at there.
Well, another reason why I like this bet, I know Chevy has that new body.
Yep.
Kyle Busch is in a Chevy. Carson Hocevar is in a Chevy. We were at a mile and a half last week, and Hendrick kind of looked like they were figuring it out, but the Spire cars were not as good.
No.
Kyle Busch and RCR and Austin Dillon, they ran okay. But I still think there's a lot of data that they don't know about this new body. And so I think this really comes down to a two-horse race between Ty Gibbs and Eric Jones. And for the experience side of it, I'm picking Eric Jones every time over Ty Gibbs in this sense. So to stay on the Ty Gibbs beat-up train, we're going to go to a match bet, and I'm going to put $30 on this. It's at -110 on Keselowski to win this matchup over Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs is at -120, so Keselowski's actually the underdog. I think, again, experience is the king at Darlington, and I think Keselowski will finish better than Ty Gibbs this coming weekend. What do you think, Kevin?
It's a fun one. I mean, that's a toss-up. That's one where I got to stay away from just because I think this bet epitomizes the like core problem of Darlington this week with the increased horsepower. It's, do you go with historically fast cars or even cars that have been fast to start the year? Or do you go for the experience and the guys you know are going to be able to manage their stuff over this race? Those two things, you have to weigh them pretty equally. And it's really a strategy decision you have to make which way you're going to go when betting. And this is a perfect example of that.
Well, for me, I'm looking at that probability, and the -110 is a little bit closer to 50% for me, and so I like Keselowski. So if you have any kind of inkling that Keselowski may just be a shade better than Ty Gibbs, then the math works out for you to bet on Bad Brad for that one. My next one, this is a +300. I'm putting 20 units on this. The dark horse of the year, Ryan Preece. I think he'll be really good at Darlington this week. What do you think, Kevin? Is it okay to bet on him for a top 10 at +300?
For sure. I mean, when you've seen what RFK has done at this racetrack, and then you take into account that over the last 40, 45 races, it's been Preece arguably is the top driver at RFK since he got into that seat. That's a debate, but I love Ryan Preece. I made a lot of money on him on the Clash. It's very easy for me to fall into emotional Ryan Preece bets, so I have to stay away. But I love the RFK thoughts this week.
That's perfect. All right, I've got two more, and then we'll get to your bets. My next one is another group bet. For some reason, these group bets are just speaking to me this week. This one's on Caesars. It's Group E. It's Zane Smith +190, Daniel Suarez +235, Connor Zilic +275, and John Hunter Nemechek +275. So you have two guys matched up with the same odds. They're the big underdog. Daniel Suarez is kind of in the middle there, +235. Zane Smith, he's been running great all year. He's also another dark horse. I've made a little bit of money off him this year, Monopoly money. But I like Zane Smith in this group at +190. I know he's the favorite, but for me, that bet really makes a lot of sense, and I think I'm kind of hedging myself a little bit by putting money on multiple different drivers in this set that I'm betting on. So I'm going to put 20 units on him at +190. What do you think about that one?
Again, love it. I mean, Zilic and Trackhouse haven't shown the speed. Suarez, that I feel like that would be the threat there. I feel like John Hunter is looped into this group at that price based off his top 5 finish in last year's Southern 500 that he kind of squeaked out. I feel like that's a little bit of a trap, though, so I'm leaning Zane Smith. One of the top, I mean, what do you think? He's the 3rd best Ford driver this year.
If you're looking just at the points and at where he's finished in races, I mean, very close to getting almost wins in both Daytona and Echo Park. He ran well at COTA but didn't get a good finish. I mean, he's doing well, and he's been very, very consistent. And we've seen that from him over the past couple of seasons. He's currently 19th in points. So they're doing big things with a little team, and I really like him. Like I said, he's been able to cash a couple of tickets for me this season, and so I'm okay with putting 20 units on him. And now my last one, the big one. I'm only going to put 10 units on it, but I think Denny Hamlin goes back-to-back and gets a win this week. He's at +575 was the richest odds I could find him at, so I'm okay putting $10 on Denny Hamlin. really savvy veteran, has a great average finish at Darlington. What do you think, Kevin?
Love it. I mean, every bone in my body wants to bet on Denny Hamlin this week, based off his prowess at Darlington, based off where his car's at right now, based off his driving style. I mean, the clear favorite. I think you got to loop Hamlin, Byron, and Reddick into that upper echelon based off past performance and driving style. And I even think that Denny Hamlin sets himself apart from those other two. If you can find anywhere to bet on Denny Hamlin to win a stage this week, I'd love to see those numbers because something tells me he's going to be qualifying up front and running up front all day.
So on Caesars, they actually have stage betting, and you can do winner of stage 1 wins the race. That's plus 350. Winner of stage 2 wins the race, plus 300. And the winner of stage 1 and 2 wins the race. So they're saying a clean sweep is plus 600. So it's
Don't love that.
It's right around there, but it's not great. I don't think I would touch any of those. I just don't think that it's there. I think they'll go for track position, and every time they're coming to pit road, they're going to take 4 tires. So That's just the story of Darlington. I want to hear what you're looking at betting this week and kind of where your thought process is as we get ready to go to South Carolina.
Yes, so scaled down a little bit. My sheet is really clear. I'm focusing on 4 winners and I'm focusing on 1 top 10. Top 10, I'm gonna ride the Eric Jones plus 260. I think that value on DraftKings compared to plus 200 and some other sites is too hard to pass up. And like you said, Eric Jones is a Darlington guy. Chris Buescher, the fact that his odds are the longest on FanDuel at 33 to 1 and it makes it interactive. This is a guy who no one's going to be surprised if he wins a stage this week. And if he qualifies well too. So much room for movement, a lot of room for a 3-4 times payout on a cash out if he's running up front all day. And then I'm going to anchor myself down in 2 race winning bets. Found some good prices on some heavy hitters. William Byron, who, like I said, is kind of looped in with Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin in that upper echelon of next-gen Darlington finishes and speed ratings. You can get him 8 to 1 on DraftKings. I think that compared to some of the 5, 6 to 1 bets you'll see on the other JGR and Hendrick drivers is too good to pass up, especially when he's dominated and led a ton of laps in the next-gen car at Darlington. And then a second one I feel like is grossly mispriced too is Ryan Blaney at 10 to 1 on FanDuel. Another one where it's interactive and you can almost guarantee that his price is going to go up and your cash out is going to pop up at some point. Tire management, long run guy. He's had speed earlier in the season this year. I know Vegas wasn't great last week, but if you're talking about a guy in the long run, I think you have to mention Ryan Blaney. And anytime you can get him 10 to 1 on an intermediate track, I feel like that's just another one that's too good to pass up.
Man, I like all of those options. You're going in and picking the cream of the crop drivers, and I think that's very wise. And the way you play the cash out game, you're just a master of that. So I'm going to leave that to you.
We'll wait and see. Wait and see. Let's see how this weekend goes. Because I don't know, horsepower could throw all of this out the window. But we're trying to lean into it a little bit, No,
I like it. I think it's a good direction to go. I think we're both in a good place. So now we're going to move to the pick'em game a little bit. I know Andrew's not here. He gave me his pick. I want to see what Kevin thinks about this because he really took my guy that I was wanting to pick, and I felt kind of like cruddy because I said, why did I let you pick first? I should have just said, this is who I'm picking. But anyway, he's leading by 21 points right now over me, and he is going to pick Eric Jones this week, which I think is a stellar pick as far as our little game goes because he's going to get all the points that Eric Jones scores in this deal, and he's got a pretty good lead right now. So what do you think about him taking Jones?
I mean, Eric Jones. One thing we haven't mentioned about Eric Jones too on the betting side is his race win number right now is 50 to 1, and that is the hardest active discipline this week is going to be avoiding the Eric Jones winner. I mean, we've talked about him a lot, but anytime I learned this from Austin Dillon at Richmond last year, anytime you have a kind of mid to bottom of the pack driver who is elite at one track, you just have to tail them somehow.
Yeah.
So I think Andrew recognizes this, and I'm on board.
Me, I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going with a Ford, and I'm going with the dark horse of the year. I'm going Ryan Preece. He's pretty good here, and I need some points. So I need him to get up there and score me some points so I can get back in this thing. So what do you think about that one? You think who do you think will be better this week, me or him?
I don't know. I mean, RFK has been bringing the juice in terms of their equipment to Darlington. We like Jones, but that's such a dark horse compared to you guys are matching up their points gained in this race,
Yeah,
right?
that
I think you definitely have an edge on Andrew this week.
good. That's what I like to hear, Kevin. That's what I like to hear. Giving me the edge. Well, as always, it's about putting you on those sharp bets and having a little bit of fun about injecting some risk into the race that allows you to not just look at one or two guys. So hopefully we put you on some of those sharp bets. And I know for Kevin, he's going to be monitoring things all weekend long and really hone in on where these teams qualify, because that will make a big difference in this race. But I hope that you can take some of this information, apply it to the money that you're risking, and it will help you grow your bankroll. Like, comment, subscribe anywhere you're watching us, and we'll talk again next week. For Kevin Redfern, I'm David Stiles.